Hello everybody and welcome back to my YouTube channel, The Rook Presents TBP Hockey Cards. Today I'm going to go over who I think are the top 10 young guns for this season. Now we already know about the Series 1 checklist that dropped, and I kind of went over that earlier last week, I guess, in a video about the Series 1 50 cards. At this point, I'm assuming there's going to be obviously a Series 2 and I think an extended series, just because there was a bunch of names that I don't see them holding on to all of them for Series 2. I'm actually thinking they're going to push some of these guys back to extended series just because they want to kind of spread it out and actually have good, chase cards in each set. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to pretend like, we've already got all three series done. It's like the end of the year and we're trying to see which 10 guys are the most valuable cards to collect. And this is going to be controversial for some maybe, but things change, and some of these guys I'm basing more on talent than anything else. Now keep in mind that the hobby love always varies. Instead of, it's not straight about, best player by stats is all automatically the most expensive card. The value always matters. There's a lot more to it. There's a lot of hype with some of these guys, and the hype carries them in terms of their card prices. So I'm going to run through 10 guys, and you can agree, disagree with me. Please, like, subscribe, put it down in the comments, and we can have some healthy discussions. These are the 10 guys I think will be in this year's Young Guns class. And then number 10, actually before I start with number 10, I'm actually going to give an honorable mention. I don't have him in my top 10, but I think he's going to be a good rookie, is Alex Newhook of the Colorado Avalanche. Currently, he's on the third line for the Avs, just because, of course, the depth they have down the middle there with McKinnon and Kadri. And Newhook is a guy that he's been playing regularly this season. I think he has the potential to be a top 10 guy. But for the purposes of this video, I have him right outside on the cusp there. Number 10 is this guy pictured right here, Seth Jarvis of the Carolina Hurricanes. He's been playing regular minutes lately on the top line, and he's been playing with Teuvo Teravainen and Sebastian Aho. Now, there's not really a better scenario than to be playing wing with Aho, and one of the best players, probably the best player on the Carolina Hurricanes, and being his shotgun. And Jarvis has played decent. He's picked up decent amount of ice time, and he's got potential to be a permanent fixture in the top 6 for the Hurricanes. So he's a guy I expect to see his card probably show up in, I'm going to say, extended series. That's my guess, just because of the way everything got delayed this year. The cutoff dates for when, Upper Deck stops making certain guys, they always have a cutoff date before they can have someone release in a certain series. There's a few guys here I'm going to talk about I think are going to be the main guys to collect in the extended series, and Seth Jarvis should be one of those guys. He's a fixture in the top 9 for sure. I think top 6 is in his future, and he should be a regular there going forward. Number 9, this guy. Probably for some of you, it might be a shock to see him this low. For some of you, it's probably a surprise he's even on this list. Now, let's be straight up. Cole Caulfield ripped it up last year when he got called up by the Canadiens, and in the playoffs for the Habs, he was amazing. He's always been a good goal scorer, and this year it's been a struggle. Last year, how well he was doing, Upper Deck pretty much named him, the coveted 201 card. He was the one rookie we've known about for months that was going to be in Series 1. And this year, he's been terrible. Montreal as a team has been brutal. They have a good shot at Shane Wright at least, so I guess that's the one consolation, but they're not a good team, and Caulfield has sucked as well. Now, with that being said, I do think he's a lot better than he's shown, obviously, and I expect him to improve. However, here's the thing. Cole Caulfield's card is going to be the second most expensive card in Series 1. When the cards drop in a couple of weeks here, we already know who the most expensive card is going to be in Series 1, and I'll get to him later. But Caulfield is going to be number 2, and based on what people are asking for on eBay, he's going to be a couple $100. Now, keep in mind, this is when he's not playing well. And eventually he'll get better. And, part of it, again, I mentioned this in the previous video that I did. It's about the hype. It's also about the fact that he's playing for Montreal. He's playing for an Original Six franchise. It's a Canadian team. I go back to the fact of Nick Suzuki. I still don't understand why his card is so expensive in Series 2 of the 1920 sets. There's so many other players that are better players than Suzuki, but it's the hype, and the card prices they've come down a bit, but they're still quite pricey. Like, Suzuki's card goes more than, Adam Fox, the reigning Norris Trophy winner, Quinn Hughes, another solid defenseman, and even Jack Hughes, who was, of course, the #1 overall pick. And Hughes, to me, is a way better player than Suzuki. The upside is tremendous there. But at this point, for whatever reason, Suzuki's card still costs a lot. So I think the same thing's going to happen with Caulfield. His card is going to be, one of the better cards in Series 1. And I think there's a lot better players than him on this list that I think are going to have better careers than Caulfield. I'm not saying Caulfield's not going to be a good player. He definitely is going to be. Definitely not as bad as he has been this year. But I just think the expectation has changed based on the hype that he came in with last year, with the playoff performance and all that was a lot different. So number 8, it's Matthew Boldy of the Minnesota Wild. 2019 draft, he was taken 12th overall. The Minnesota Wild, as we know, have been playing solid. The makeup of their team is quite unique. I mean, Ryan Hartman is their #1 center. Frederick Gaudreau has been playing #2 for them as center, and Joel Eriksson Ek is their third line center because he's, been the main shutdown center for them. So Boldy and Marco Rossi, another high-end prospect that the Minnesota Wild have selected in, the last couple of years, were called up on an emergency basis in early January. Rossi's already been sent down. Boldy, however, has stuck around, and he's become a fixture in the top 6 already. He's been producing regularly on the second line. He's kind of developed nice chemistry with Kevin Fiala there. And he's a fixture on the top power play unit, which doesn't hurt when you're playing with Kirill Kaprizov on the top line. So in the power play, to ice time he's been getting regular 15, 16 minutes at least of ice time. To me, he's going to stick and be a productive player. And I might be wrong, but just based on the timing, I think Boldy is going to be probably the card in the extended series. Again, this is all speculation, right? I'm just speculating. I might be completely wrong on all of this that I'm talking about here. And if I am, oh well, I'm not trying to call it, but I just call it as I see it, I guess. And so I think Boldy is going to be a very desirable player to have. His card is going to have some value. So he's a guy I would look to grab if and when his card releases this season. Number 7, Jamie Drysdale of the Anaheim Ducks. Top 10 pick in 2020. He was 6th overall. I guess I should show you his face there. And he played last year, and I think he was only, 18 or 19 years old. He played down the stretch for the Ducks, was productive. He's not putting up crazy numbers point-wise. I mean, he's decent. And don't forget that defensemen always take, usually, I guess, things are changing. Defensemen take some time to develop their game. However, we know that things have just changed over the years, not just in hockey, but other sports too, where, you used to see the peak of a player was around like age 26, 27. For a defenseman, usually prime years were considered the age 27 to around 32. However, that's all changed with all these young bucks playing in the league. All leagues are going younger, faster, cheaper. By having these draft picks playing, it's a faster game. So a lot of young kids are coming in and making quite an impact, right? So in some cases now, a guy that's, for example, a guy like Jonathan Huberdeau who's 28, already is, he's in his old school, I guess, prime, but based on new school, he's kind of already old, but he's producing, and Jamie Drysdale is I think he's only 19. I don't think he's even 20 yet. And he's been playing regular top 4 minutes. He doesn't get top line power play minutes. I think Shattenkirk and even Cam Fowler play even on the first, maybe even second unit. So Drysdale doesn't get as much power play time. However, he is going to be probably the second best defenseman in this year's class. There's one guy, of course, most of you will know who he is coming up here, who's going to do a lot better than him. But I think Drysdale is, he's going to be one of the top cards to chase in Series 1. So if you can get your hands on him, he's going to be a great hold for you. Number 6, Florida Panthers goaltender Spencer Knight. Another high-end pick. He was taken 13th overall in 2019. Last year he got called up when Bobrovsky was playing like crap, and down the stretch Knight, and he even started a playoff game, was phenomenal. And this year a lot of people when they saw him were like, oh well, Knight's gonna be taking the job from Bob. He's gonna become the starting goalie for a loaded Panthers team. That really hasn't happened. I'm not surprised. Bobrovsky had an off year. He's still a solid goalie. He's rebounded this year to being one of the better goaltenders in the league. The Panthers are a Stanley Cup contender. I'm starting to think day by day that Panthers are the biggest threat to the Lightning in terms of getting to the finals. The Panthers, have one of the best teams in terms of depth in the league. They have a solid goaltending, so Knight is not going to get much opportunity this season. However, with that being said, he is by far the best goaltending prospect we've had in a few years, and his card is going to be valuable down the road. So if you can grab it, he is getting Series 1. We've already seen his Young Guns image come out last week. So he is going to be a guy to grab, and he's still young, and he's only going to get better as the years go by. Speaking of Florida Panthers, number 5, this kid is a stud, Anton Lander. 12th overall pick in the 2020 draft. This kid is on fire right now. He is part of what is considered the best third line in hockey. They had a monster performance a couple days ago against the Blue Jackets. Lundell had 5 assists in that game. He's playing with Mason Marchment, who was a young gun. You can say a no-name young gun in last year's class. His value won't go up too much just because that's just how the hobby is. And then, of course, a guy that was a high draft pick in Sam Reinhart, who they brought over from the Sabres. And now Reinhart has been moving around the lineup. He's been moved down a couple weeks ago to the third line. And these 3 have been clicking. So it wasn't even just that it was like an outlier game. Lundell's actually been probably the best. I think he's the top scorer amongst rookies since early December. I think he's a point per game player in the last 20-some games. So you can say the first quarter took him a while, first handful of games to get used to the NHL schedule and just the gameplay. And now he's a regular player on the penalty kill. He plays with Barkov actually on one of the second unit PK unit. He's been picking up some power play time as well in the second unit. He's not going to get top line minutes or top 6 minutes anytime soon, but if something happens to Barkov or Bennett or somebody, then Lundell will definitely move up and be getting more ice time than even now. However, to me, what he reminds me of is he's like Barkov Jr. Only now in the last year and a half, I would say, people have really started to notice how good Barkov is. I've been watching him for a while, and I think he's absolutely a stud. One of the best players in the league by far, and he's, quiet and just goes about his business. That's how I think Lundell's going to be. So he, I think, is going to be a very, very good NHL player. He's going to have a great career. Number 4, let me bring up his image here. Sorry about that. It's Mason Raymond of the Detroit Red Wings. He should be one of the headliners in Series 2. He's part of what I would call the Big 3. The next 2 guys that were not in Series 1, I think, are going to be the anchors of Series 2. He is definitely one of them. Raymond was the 4th overall pick in 2020. Obviously comes with a high draft pedigree. However, I'm surprised they did make, the team. He has been getting regular top 6 minutes. He started off on fire, was putting up crazy numbers at the start of the season. He has cooled down considerably. However, again, he's very young, and, he's only going to get better. Detroit is definitely going to be turning the corner here in the next year or two under Stevie Y's watch. And he is going to be one of their dynamic scorers up front. They got other players there, other pieces. Dylan Larkin, after a disappointing year, has turned it around this season. Tyler Bertuzzi has been playing well. And, they have some other secondary scoring pieces right now. They obviously need better defensemen, stronger defense going forward. But they're getting there, and Raymond's going to be a big part of that. So I think his card is going to be valuable going forward, and definitely going to be a hot pickup in Series 2. Now for one of the big three that I was talking about, at number 3, I have another guy, and that's obviously his teammate, and that's this kid, Mort Cider. He was taken 6th overall in 2019, and I remember even watching the draft and just the media, the so-called, quote, experts. When Stevie Yzerman made this pick, they're kind of like, who, what, huh? And, Yzerman knows what he's doing, man. Yzerman, by far, is the best player / executive that the NHL has had. I mean, not very often does a guy that was a really good player turn into a very good executive. He is one of the few, if not, he's probably at the top in terms of having an excellent playing career and then turning into a wicked executive. He obviously knew something that no one else did, and Cider has been awesome this season. He's already Detroit's best defenseman. I mean, I know that's not saying much, but he plays in all situations, power play, PK. He gets monster minutes. He's been, minute crunching 22, 23 minutes a game. He's been contributing in all aspects of the game. He blocks shots, taking shots, pointed up points, defensively sound. He is going to be a perennial Norris candidate. Part of his game, the way he plays, reminds me of Victor Hedman. And he should be in Series 2, and he's going to be the guy to get in terms of defenseman. I mentioned Drysdale earlier. This is the guy that is going to be the big hit. Number 2, this shouldn't be a surprise to anybody either. It's Quinton Byfield. Again, the pedigree draft-wise was there. I remember when he went 2nd overall, there was talk when him and Lafreniere went 1 and 2 that Byfield could even overtake him. I still think that's possible. He hasn't put up major points. He just actually, this season got derailed because he had his, I think it was an ankle injury. He just recently got called up in January by the Kings. He scored his first NHL goal, I believe, last week. He's on the 3rd line right now playing with Dustin Brown and Andreas Athanasiou, and so he's not in prime minutes, in terms of being on the top 6. He's, down below, but I think LA is developing their prospects slowly. I mean, Turcotte had a taste. He got sent back down. Kaleyev's been a regular for them on the 4th line, even though he's been getting power play minutes on the 2nd unit. I would think Byfield eventually will move up and get some ice time. Right now, he's only getting about 10, 11 minutes. However, the one thing with Byfield is he, by far and away, has the most upside of any of these kids in terms of the rookie class. If you go back and look at Byfield's performances over the years, he always, whenever he moves up a level, he initially struggles and takes some time to adapt to the way the game is being played at that level. And then once he figures that out, he dominates. And so I'm not surprised his NHL career is off to a slow start. I expect him to, struggle for a bit here. Near the end of the season, I think he's going to start picking it up. And to me, Byfield in my head has always been, even when Caulfield was announced as 201 back in the summer, I always figured Byfield was going to be card 451 leading off Series 2. And, it might be wrong. It might be Cider. It might be Raymond. I have a strong feeling Byfield still has a lot of upside. And he's not a guy to sleep on. So I don't know how the hobby's going to treat him, but he should be treated with a lot of hype. And, of course, the number 1 pick, shouldn't be a surprise to anybody, is this kid, Mr. Michigan. Zegras has been as advertised. Honestly, he should have been card 201 and not Caulfield. He is by far and away the better player. Hard to believe that he was taken 9th overall in 2019. he's he's been playing wing a little bit, even with Getzlaf. He's been playing center for them on the second line. And so, Anaheim's got a lot of young pieces with Drysdale and him and, Troy Terry having a breakthrough campaign. They still have Maxime Comtois, who's actually struggled this year, and they have a few veterans in, Raquel and Getzlaf. But Anaheim that's a team that's surprising right now. They're sitting in a playoff spot, actually. They're sitting in a divisional spot, actually. And don't forget, they do have a number one goaltender in John Gibson. They still have some good depth on the blue line with Manson, Fowler, Shattenkirk, and Drysdale. So Zegras is, he's been on the highlight reels. He's had some phenomenal goals, but the kid can play. He doesn't get pushed off the puck that easily. He's got a lot of potential. He is by far away the card that everybody's going to be after in Series 1. He's going to fetch a good, $300-400, might be US even. And he is the guy. So in Series 1, he is the chase card that everybody's going to be after. He's going to come out a pretty penny. I think for the hobby, his card is going to be the most valuable this season, even though I think Byfield still has more upside to turn into a better player with a greater career. I think Zegras' card, and the other thing is, unlike last year where there was all hype, that's all it was hype. With the delay in Series 1 for Upper Deck this year, the fact that we've already seen half these guys play for half the year, we know there's no hype with Zegras. He is the real deal. He's already putting up monster points. He missed some games in there, but he's on I think a 60-point pace, and if he hadn't missed some games, he probably would be close to 70 points. So the kid can play, there's no doubt about it, and that's kind of the deal with Zegras, Cider, Raymond, even Lundell. These guys are all producing and putting up some numbers, so that makes their cards that much more valuable because there's not just hype. It's not like Lafreniere where we're just wondering if he's going to even break through, not when he's going to break through now, right? These guys have already put up numbers, so they're guaranteed studs. So anyways, that's my top 10 for the young guns of this year. Hope you enjoyed the video. Sorry, I ran a little bit long there, probably rambled a little bit. Hoping to put out some more videos for you guys in the future. And again, please like, comment, subscribe, and have a good one. Take care. Bye now.